Perry Pencil.
Hello, this is Perry Pencil. Today's drawing lesson is Val-zod, Superman from Earth 2. Like Superman from Earth 1, Val-zod is Kryptonian. Now, let's draw this Kryptonian together, shall we? Now let's get started. I'm going to be using a regular number 2 pencil. Start off with a line, a border at the top so that his head doesn't go past the top of the page. Divide your page in half. As I always do, I always start off with the head with an oval, a simple oval shape. Right after that, I usually put in an oval shape underneath his head, and that's going to be for his neck. We want to do the measurements, and I'm going to slide that down for where his chest is going to end. I'm going to mark that, and I'm going to slide it down once more for the waist. This is where his waist will be, and everything will go off the page from there. Now go ahead on and create a nice size oval for his torso, and this is for the portion for his upper body. Come across for a line that defines where his chest ends, and another line for his shoulders. We'll go left to right by putting circles in for his shoulders. Do the right and then do the left side. Immediately after that, I'll go ahead and put lines in for where his arms are going to be. He does have his arms are going to be on his arms are going to be resting on his waist. So we want to measure and use a light line and then have another line that goes towards his waist, or in this case off the edge of the page. Now we're going to put oval shapes in, and we're going to create a cylinder. I usually use this shape on all my figures, and the cylinder shape is for the bicep and tricep. Repeat the same thing for his left arm, and then circle for the elbow. And put a oval shape for his forearm, and then let the rest go off the page. Now I'm going to measure that to make sure they're both the same length, and we're going to put the fist in. And in this case, what I will do is normally I will draw off the edge of the page. And a lot of times what happens is this helps with placement. And what I mean by that is when I'm drawing fists or anything that goes off the page, it's just good so that you know exactly what it looks like on the opposite side. Now immediately put his neck in. Now for Val-zod, his neck is going to be thicker because he is a superhero, and most superhero drawings have very thick necks. And then go ahead and put his eye lines in. And as you see, I put his temple lines in on both sides of his head. This is so we know where his hairline is going to be. And immediately after that, put his eyes in. I use 2 simple oval shapes. Move down to his nose, and then you can put a triangular shape for the width of his nose or how wide his nose is going to be. Then put a line for his lips in. Now for here, I'm going to focus on his eyebrows. One of the main important features on any character. I usually try to get the features in first, and the facial features done first, so that way we recognize what the character is going to look like right off in the beginning. And put 2 simple lines on the outside of the nostrils, and this where the triangular shape that I put is going to help you know where to put that. And come straight down for the bridge of his nose. And as you see here, you can simply follow simple shapes for his nose. I'm not putting a whole lot of detail in there. This is pretty much called suggestive drawing. This is when you don't go full detail, but you put hints of parts of that in there. Now if you notice, I'm putting his eyelashes in. And I'm immediately putting in his mouth. So we're going to put in his upper lip. And then his lower lip is going to be slightly lower than, or thicker than, his upper lip. And I'm going to deal with the outside of the portion of his face. I'm going to start with his hairline. Bring that right around the outside of his eyebrow. That's kind of how I measure how far out the hairline should be. And then you can come on down with his jawline. And his particular jawline, I didn't want to be as square as, let's say, Clark Kent or Superman from Earth 1. I usually want to go with a simpler jaw shape, which would be like, it wouldn't have as many angles to it. And for his ears, put in simple arcs. And the ears are usually measured between the width of the eyes, or the height of the eyes rather, and then the bottom of the nose. And Val-zod has a simple haircut, so I'm putting in a simple hairline and then closing it off at the top, and then come around to the other side on the left side of his head. Now, as I was mentioning his neck before, right underneath his ear, you want his neck to come right behind the ear down. Usually when a person's neck is thinner, you would go more closer to the edge of the jawline or near the chin for a thinner neck. But in this case, he has a thick neck. Now, just underneath his chin, you want to create a U shape. The U shape comes down just above where his shoulder muscles are and where the upper chest is. Then you want to move over to his right shoulder, and we want to begin to form his shoulders in, because at this point, the way his arms are on his waist, or his hands are on his waist, the muscles in his shoulders are going to be flexed. Now for his bicep and tricep, you want to just curve it slightly, and then when you get towards the circle for his elbow that's indicated, curve that in. Move over to his left bicep and do the same thing as the right. Have that curve in. Bring the elbows around the circle as a reference. Now we're going to concentrate on the bicep, and it's a bit more relaxed. Do the same thing for the left, and now we're going to deal with underneath the circles. If you notice, I indicated those, pointed to them. You want to put almost like a line right underneath those circles, and then you can begin to form his pectoral muscles that come around, and you can put it where the line is that I indicated for the bottom of the chest. And do the same thing for his left side. Now I'm going to put his upper chest in. Now overall, his chest is completed, and I'm not doing too much detail because he is wearing fabric. So I'm going to use his shoulder as a guideline. If you notice, I'm arcing that around, and I'm going to put what's called his wingspan in. That's just underneath the armpit and right on the side of his rib cage. And I'm going to do the same thing for his left side. Measure that out as best as possible and bring that down. Now I'm going to concentrate on his abs. Right underneath his chest, if you notice, I'm doing two lines to bring his abs to the front. And then I do what's called the letter W and repeat that. They're not connected. Val-zod has space between each ab set. Usually they're connected. Sometimes if someone doesn't have quite as much detail in their abs, you'll see kind of a straight line going across, but his are individualized. So you can separate them by creating what I call a separate W. You just make a W but kind of have a split in the middle of it, and then indicate on the sides the rib cage. I usually keep this as simplistic or simple as possible because adding too much detail to anatomy can get confusing. Now I'll concentrate on his forearm. You want to just put an arc there, come right underneath the bicep and just arc that around, and do the same thing for his left side. Now he's wearing bracelets, and you can have the bracelets come up, and they come to a point, and then his thumb is going to come around and then go off the edge of the page. Put the other thumb in on his left side, and there's an indication by putting a line right here and letting the rest go off the page. I'm going to put the other side of his glove in, and I'm going to use my mechanical pencil and put in his iris, and these are just simple circles. For his ears, you can put an arc in that follows the contour of the outside of the ear, and do the same thing for his left side and bring that down. I'm going to start to concentrate on his outfit. So you can just simply put a arc that goes around the base of his or the upper part of his chest. And here I'm going to indicate that he's wearing the cape. So you could put little indications of angle shapes on both sides, and that gives the appearance that he has capes on his a cape on. And Val-zod's design of a cape is a bit unique and a little bit different. It doesn't look like it's tucked in underneath what he's wearing. It kind of looks like it's a part of the tights that he's wearing. So you could just bring lines that come in and indicate a wrinkle fold. And there's another indication at the top of his shoulder. And then we want to put the indication of the emblem of the Superman logo on. And of course that consists of 5 sides, like a diamond shape, and it comes down to the top portion of his abs. Adding a little bit of detail to his arms. I'm going to continue his cape down behind his arms. Do that on both sides. And let it go off the page. And I'm going to put a retina in on both eyes, just a dot. And we're going to start to do the S on his chest. For the S on his chest, there are shapes. So if you need to pause at any given time during this point, feel free to do so. So if you notice, I followed the contour on the right side, and then I closed it off with an arc. Now, the interior part of the S, it does take the shape of writing an S. So you want to bring that top portion over, curve it, and almost like you're writing the letter S, you can swoop around and bring it and stop. Because when you get close to the edge, it's just that the way the symbol is, it cuts off the actual letter. So then you close that off and then you have another border. Now, both sides are done. You come underneath and you continue that S by coming around and making the opposite side of the top portion of the S that was just done. Then you put the border just like we did on the upper right side, and then underneath that drop that down, and that creates the bottom portion of the S. Now underneath that, you want to bring in a curve, and then there's almost a triangle shape, or it is a triangle shape that comes down, and you can follow my pencil along the way I'm going there and create that border, and then close it. Finally, in the upper left hand corner, that's going to close the top portion of the S that comes over, and that's almost like a diamond shape there. Put an extra fold there for his cape so that we know that it's in cape. Now at this point, you just drawn Val-zod Superman, and I'm going to clean it up and make it look nice. And then at the end, you can pause and take a look at it.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe by pressing this round button at the bottom. Also, click on one of the 2 top videos at the top. Please like this video, tell a friend, and share it on Facebook. Thank you. Perry Pencil.